forward to this. Oh, so we are back, and it is after the new year. It's
It
2026.
is.
Yes, and Jenny and I are back to discuss mortgage and real estate. And I have to start out by telling you what I've been dying to tell you through the holidays. But
Talk to me.
basically, I decided I bought my first home, and 2012 we moved and bought a home that we could house my father-in-law to live with us. So
Okay.
we rented out the house in Ackworth, and the neighborhood is 367 homes, and it's an HOA community, but it's always been like there's a three-bedroom side and there's a four-bedroom side. There's always been high rentals. And they've
Yeah.
always talked about capping the rentals, but they've never done it.
Okay.
And back in 2012, I got permission to rent my property, and it's been rented ever since. I've always had a tenant. When I didn't have a tenant during COVID, it was because of the roof leak. Got a tenant right after that. Well, they sent out a letter, and first of all, they sent me the HOA renewal, and it was 750 for everybody else, but 950 for me because I'm a landlord. So they
Investor.
added a
Okay. Okay.
$200 fee. And I
Okay.
did not get notified that that was going to happen, but I went ahead and just paid it.
Yeah.
Next week, I get a letter basically saying, we have decided we're going to start enforcing the rental cap. So anyone who is leasing their property in this neighborhood, you need to submit this application and your lease agreement, and we're only accepting 37. So there's about 150 homes in that neighborhood that are rented. If they're only going to accept 37, what do you think is going to happen? If you start fining people and people have to list their homes, it's going to drop the values like a rock.
Right. Right.
I mean,
Wow.
I can't believe that they're doing
And I
this.
wonder how they're going to decide. Are they going to decide based on, who's been an investor in there longer, who's rented longer? Like,
They said first come, first serve. So you have never seen me move as fast as I've
I know
moved. I've
that's
got a
right.
3-year lease. Like you,
Wow.
I believe the HOA is opening themselves up to lawsuits, and I don't know how they're going to do this, but if you force someone to sell, they could be sued by the tenant.
For sure.
Then, if I were to sell right now, I would lose big time on tax returns. So you're going to
Right.
cause me to have a financial detriment
Right.
by forcing me to sell.
Right. And there's already some legal things happening against HOAs that have been putting, these exorbitant amount of, liens on
Yes.
people's properties because you didn't move your garbage can, your lawn was too high, you didn't get approval for that plant or that door color, right? So
Yep.
people have accumulated all of these fees and then they end up being forced to sell,
Yeah.
right? So there's already like legal things happening around that. So I'm curious of how they feel they can get away with it, you know? Like,
I mean, it's crazy. I understand that you want to preserve the values because a
yeah,
homeowner is always going to take better care of a home than a renter will, for the most part.
for the
So I
most part,
get
yeah.
it. They want to preserve the property values, but you're about to cause a train wreck. I mean, it might
Yeah,
be just a short term until all those homes are gone, but it's still going to affect the values in that neighborhood if you have 100 homes listed at the same time. Uh,
absolutely.
so I'm going to be interested to see it. It's now what, the 6th. This came right before Christmas. I have not heard one word.
Interesting.
And it had to be sent to the property management, Douglas Property Management,
Hmm.
and I'm waiting to hear back. So I'm fingers crossed. I'm really hoping that I don't have to
Yeah, I
fight
hope you
this.
get chosen. Let me
I
let me
know.
know how that goes.
I
And or if
know.
you need a listing agent.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you're it.
My
It's
goodness.
it's
No,
gonna be crazy.
that's a fine line I feel like they're kind of tapping on because there's nothing in that I know of that's, you know, backing them by Georgia state law. You know
No.
what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of talks right now, but nothing's in law yet, you know? So what kind of backing are they doing besides their annual meetings or their homeowners meetings where people are voting on this, right?
Yep.
But you still have to be backed by some kind of status. some
Yes.
kind of, code of law, you know?
Well, and they said we have passed this back in 2012. We just didn't enforce it. And so they sent the copy of the covenant that was back in 2012. But the fact that you didn't enforce it and now you
That's your
want
fault.
to, yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of their fault. Wow.
that's a
Mm,
13-year, oh, we'll just sit on the rules and not do it. And now we want to enforce it and hinder or, to hurt someone financially. It's just not right. But
right.
I will keep everybody updated on what happens.
Please do.
Yeah, the
Please do,
saga
because
continues.
that's something.
I talked to an attorney who said that this is actually happening more often. They're seeing this, and first they'll start with small fines that they'll put on there for you renting after it was said that
Yeah,
you should have stopped. And then they'll start placing larger liens. And I mean, it's crazy to me that an HOA can actually try to foreclose.
right. Right.
Yeah,
So if they haven't been implementing it, so therefore they haven't been implementing the small fines, it's kind of like they shot themselves in the foot because they haven't been following protocol, is what it sounds like.
exactly.
So if you're not following protocol, aren't you subliminally saying it's okay?
Yeah,
Aren't you kind of saying you're giving permission if you're not? I mean,
yeah.
I'm not a lawyer, but it's subjective,
It's
right?
almost like squatters' rights, you know?
Yeah,
I
right,
mean, you
right.
want to go back after 7 years
Hmm.
and tell someone they're encroaching on your property or whatever. I mean,
Right,
there's a timeline for that.
exactly.
So I'm
And you knew,
curious.
you knew this whole time
Yeah,
that I built that fence across your yard, you know?
exactly.
Wow. How about that? Yeah, please
Yeah.
let me know how that goes because that's going to be an interesting thing. And like you said, to your point, I don't think it's going to be the last of it. I think it's just the beginning, with
Well,
everyone just trying to, especially communities, HOAs, trying to tighten up and limit the amount of investors,
yes.
So
And
it's
they're also, they mentioned in the letter, it was also about Airbnbs. So
really,
I think that how they probably started this was because of short-term rentals that people were doing inside the neighborhood. And that
okay.
is probably what they're trying to get out, but
Yeah.
they're throwing the baby with the bathwater. I mean,
Yeah.
everything's coming
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but if I guess if like from what I understand, as far as like what they did in Atlanta, Atlanta implemented a lot of rules around Airbnbs and
Oh
limiting
yeah.
the amount of homes that can be Airbnbs in Atlanta. Some homes got grandfathered in with
Yep.
that law,
Yep.
right? So I feel like in this scenario, that city, Eckworth, if they don't have that in the books,
Yep.
then
How
how are
can you
you,
enforce it?
what's backing you besides your HOA? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah. And at the end
It's
of the
all
day, wouldn't you guys then be grandfathered in? Like,
right.
I don't,
And that,
yeah.
and they told me I was grandfathered in when they tried to start enforcing it back in like 2016. But we also had a situation in that same neighborhood where the HOA president never held elections for 7 years. She stole over $1 million from the HOA account, and we had to go after her. They put her on probation for 5 years, forced her to sell her condo and her yacht in Florida that she had bought. It was a small boat, but they called it a yacht.
Wow.
And she had to pay restitution. And so for like, I don't know, 3 years after that whole case, she had a "Don't Tread on Me" flag outside, and she was two doors down across the street. You never saw them in the light of day. They would obviously
Right.
leave the house in the middle of the night
But
because
you're
they were
treading
like,
on everyone else's
"Yeah,
wallets, but don't tread on
don't
you.
tread on me." Yeah.
But you're going to take everyone else's money, but don't tread on me.
Yeah, you caused me
Come
to
on
lose my
now.
condo and my yacht. Don't tread on
Exactly.
me. Yeah. So, I mean, it's
Wow.
like,
That's not how any of this works.
yeah, it's not. It's not. And so I'm like, you guys, we have been through the ringer, and now some of the tenants, I bought the house in 2005. So, for me to sell it, I would love to eventually sell it to a family, but you're detrimenting me because I've taken depreciation. I've,
Yeah.
had to renovate things that if I were to sell now, I'd be paying up the wazoo in capital gains.
And you're also being targeted, right? Like that's what it comes down to as well. It's like you're not a Wall Street investor that's buying up Main Street, so it's
Yes.
not the same.
Well, and
So
that's
take that,
another,
take that energy elsewhere,
right.
right? Like,
Well, and that's the other thing. There's a lot of people in the industry. Yesterday, the administration came out and said that they're going to limit
yeah.
institutional investors, and those are
It,
people who
it it's
own
a
like
it's a great plan.
me
Well, I
too.
haven't heard the plan yet, but it's a great idea. Right now, it's
Yes.
an idea.
Yes.
I would love to hear how it's going to be implemented.
Me too.
That's the whole thing. Because the last administration, I mean, they did something great when it came to the FHA, and they dropped the what was it, the premium
Own
insurance.
level price adjustments.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So like every administration, it feels like they're trying to do something, but at the end of the day, right now, it's a great idea. How's it going to be implemented, right?
Well, there's a lot of people in our industry that say this is not even going to put a dent in it. But
Yeah,
what our Atlanta market, I'm sorry, but it might not be big in your market, but it
right,
is huge here.
right. Yeah,
We
when
have at least 100,000 homes that are owned by large
easy in
investors.
Atlanta and Atlanta Metro combined, for sure. Yeah,
I mean,
for
so
sure.
if they were forced to sell those homes, that's 100,000 more families that would be able to afford.
Right.
And what's
And
crazy is that
that's my whole thing. So if you have these companies that have all of these homes, what's to also stop them from creating shell companies to kind of hide that value, right? And
or
that's where I'm
buy.
like, how is this going to be implemented? How are we going to find these people? Um, in a sense of like, how are we actually going to implement it, right?
Mhm.
Because I love what Canada did, where Canada has a tax on foreign investors.
Yes,
When they buy up property, I do feel like we need to target that a little bit more
I
because we
agree.
do have a lot of foreign investors buying up so much land here.
Mhm.
Between China, Colombia, like
Mhm.
they're buying up so much land in the state of, or in the United States. And of course in Georgia here we're impacted tremendously. So I would be curious to know how they're going to target, how they're going to implement it, like what's the plan behind it,
Right.
So I'm looking forward to hearing all about it because I think it's a great idea. I wish it was something we honestly had back in 2020.
Yes.
Maybe we wouldn't have had the crazy 21, 22 market that actually helped rise the price up, right? So you had the
Mhm.
combination of those investors buying up property, and then you had people moving all around, California coming to Georgia and New York coming to Georgia. And it's great. I love that. But the problem is we had so much of that happening that it created a bottleneck in our industry. And
Well, and we
that's
had
also what drove prices up too.
yes. Well, you had people who I had, buyers who would go out, they would make an offer on a home. The seller would come back and say, "We have somebody who's offering all cash." You come back with
Yes.
highest and best, and they
Yes.
would go, "Okay, we'll give you 20,000 above asking. We'll waive the appraisal.
50,000
We'll
above
do
ask. It's
this." They
crazy.
still lost. The
Yes,
investor got the cash deal, and then
absolutely.
those values just went up, and it
Yep.
priced hundreds of my clients out of the market
Same.
entirely.
Same. And then, of course, now your property taxes are coming out the very next year, and they're using those inflated numbers
Yes.
for your property taxes, which I
Yep.
was also reaching out to my clients like, hey, if you need me to help you write these rebuttals on these property taxes, let me know because there's a
Mhm.
lot of numbers that have been inflated because of that market, right? And we're still, yeah, we've come down on prices a little bit, maybe a little bit more realistic, but we're still fighting it. Like I just
Yes.
had a client in Ackworth that they bought their home in 2017, and yeah, it's in a community where homes are priced anywhere between 400,000 and 1.5 million, but they try to price their home at $800,000, right? Because the home across the street sold for 900,000. But
Yep.
that home across the street had, Italian marble floors and Italian chandeliers flowing in. They didn't have any of that. They didn't have any updates. It still was, they had some updates in the kitchen, but it was still very 90s.
Hmm.
The home was built in 92 and they had to fight that against the
They
tax
weren't going to get
assessment.
800,000 for their house the way in that condition. Like,
Right. And they know that the windows
yeah.
hadn't been updated. They had original flooring. Yeah, it was hardwood, but it was still original flooring that showed its, age, right? So at the end of the day, when you have these inflated prices that we're constantly having to fight against, I feel like those areas locally we can target. Like we don't have to wait for the administration to do anything. We could be doing stuff locally
Yes.
to correct it. And that's where I feel like we're missing it. We're not putting pressure on our local government to say,
Hmm.
hey, let's stop the tax assessor from overtaxing property taxes
Yep.
based on, this value where they didn't go inside of a home. They drive by it,
Yep.
but they don't go inside homes to actually give it an accurate value,
And they
you know?
actually don't even, they say that the finishes and everything don't even matter. And I'm like,
They
I'm
matter.
sorry. Yeah, if you're in a cookie cutter neighborhood where every house is
Right,
built almost the same, that's different.
right,
But when you are talking about neighborhoods where the values fluctuates, the
right,
space, the square footage, the acreage limits, everything is different.
right.
You can't just compare my
You
house
can't.
to that house across the
Right.
street.
Right. So if it doesn't matter when we're under contract on a house and a property appraiser has to come out and physically go in that house and rates that house on its finishings, because they do. So you're
Exactly.
telling me it doesn't matter when a property appraiser goes in to a
Yep.
house that's under contract, but when a tax appraiser, like, it doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
right?
And maybe it's so that they're not imposing on people to get into their home. And I know a lot of people who would not even let the tax assessor into their
Yeah.
home because
It's the
they don't
man.
want
You
to
don't
be
let the man
assessed.
in.
Yeah. You don't want to be assessed for that, nice zero what do you call
Right.
those big fridges, you know? I mean,
Right. Right.
because those things would not a fridge, but high finishes would equate to more value. Those
Yes.
Italian floors, they're expensive.
Yes, yes.
It's
Flown in Italian floors at that. Like it was
Oh
all
yeah.
all this was like flown in custom
Oh
from
God.
Italy directly.
And that is the laws of conformity because they're
Right.
probably the nicest house in the
Right.
neighborhood and the other values are pulling them down in the
Yeah.
real estate world,
Yeah. Yeah. But in
Yeah.
but in tax assessor world, no, you're
Oh
equal
no.
to that house. No, I'm not. I'm not equal
Yeah.
to that house.
No.
Just
And
because we're
and
in the same neighborhood or across the street from each other.
exactly.
Right.
And I don't know if you saw yesterday, but the Georgia Senate is meeting to eliminate income taxes for the entire state of
I did
Georgia.
see that.
I'm worried because I mean, this is my dream is that we'd have a
Yes.
consumption tax, we'd have no income taxes, we'd have no property taxes, we would just pay on what we consume. That's non-essential. But I worry that if Georgia passes the no income tax, the counties and the cities are going to just, I mean,
Yeah.
kill us in property
And
taxes.
the jobs, the corporations that are here, right?
Yes.
Because Microsoft and Google, they're enjoying the low taxes that they're paying in comparison to when they were like upper state New York and Ohio.
Oh yeah.
What's going to happen? So if corporations move out, jobs go away, what are we off balancing now?
Well, and that's the other thing, when a company comes into an area, usually they will give them a tax benefit of like, hey, if you come build a plant in our city, we will give you 10 years, no taxes. Guess what?
Hmm.
When the 10 years is up, they find a reason to move.
Yes, absolutely. They
So,
absolutely do.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, the counties and the cities definitely have a lot of responsibility, and I don't think
Hmm.
that they're doing it. Um, and honestly, I feel like they feel like they get enough like money so that they don't need to worry about budgeting. I mean, during
Right.
COVID, nobody in Cherokee County was taking any furlough days, but yet they were still taxing us up the wazoo, and a lot of people were furloughed and not working. And
Right.
at the tax assessor, I mean the county commissioner meeting, we went up there and talked to them. It's like, why are y'all talking about buying new sheriff's cars when everybody's hurting? There's senior citizens that can't even make their tax bill, and you're talking about buying new cars.
Hmm.
It just,
It's
it's,
a real thing. I think, especially in our county, in Cherokee County, there's a lot of spending happening. A lot of and then it almost sounds like some of the projects, and this is just from what I've seen, it almost sounds like some of the projects we're overpaying for it when it's like, hey, here's a budget, for X street we're expanding. Oh, by the way, we're going to allocate more money for X street we're expanding. And it's like, wait, what's the splash for then?
yeah.
right?
Why did we raise our splosh to up another penny?
Exactly. And it's funny because they always say, splash what lasts for 6 years, but then it just gets reinstated.
Yes.
I
And then
don't, I don't,
we see more in taxes. Our
we see
tax
more in
goes
taxes.
up.
And who's paying for the splash advertisement, by the way?
I don't even know.
We
Who
are.
is it? We
We
are?
are. We pay
Oh,
for that.
oh God.
Yeah. So there's
And that's
there's
the,
so much that I feel like we as people in our county and in our cities, we don't see where the money's going. Like we see stuff happening around us, but how much of that has been paid for beyond what we agreed on?
well, let's talk about it in just general government. And, I'm not getting political. Both sides
Yeah,
are guilty of this, but
yeah,
they will bid on they'll say we need a contractor for this project, and then they take their brother who underbid everybody but ends up going above budget once
yes.
they've already got the contract. That's how that happens.
That and it's happening so much. It's prevalent.
Yeah.
So it's hard. It's hard to control those purse strings, when
Yeah.
when you're trying to trust whoever you have in office, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to trust this person and then look away, never look away.
No, don't look away. I mean, politicians are famous for that. They'll overpromise
Aren't
and
they?
underdeliver, and the
Under
second you look
talk about
away,
it
they're probably going to be
every single
pocketing our
time.
money.
Every single time. Every
Yeah.
single time. Yeah. Are you seeing a influx of buyers coming in as far as FHA buyers or first time home buyers? Are you
Yes.
seeing them getting revved up?
Yes, I mean, I was out the week of New Year's and I got like 17 calls of people ready. Hey, I want to talk about buying in the new
Wow.
year. So I think that
That's
people are finally
awesome.
coming out of the woodwork and they're tired of sitting on the fence. I have
Yeah.
a lot of repeat buyers too that are finally just, we can't stay here anymore. This house is too small. We have a new
Yeah.
child. We need more space. And they're just
That's
biting the
awesome.
bullet and buying something else. So
Yeah.
I do see the inventory is also picking up.
Hmm.
I'm kind of discouraged because there's several people, they're talking about not, they took their homes off the market because the sellers
Hmm.
weren't getting the prices they wanted.
Right.
Sellers need to come back down to earth and get a little bit
Yeah.
more
Get
logical
out of
about
21,
this.
22 market.
Yes.
So many people are still sellers, are still stuck in that. But that house sold for 50,000 over asking back in 21 and 22. We're not in the same market anymore.
You
That
don't have a
market,
time machine, buddy.
yeah.
So
That
this is
market
the
was, what did
market.
they say, was like a conundrum. Like it's not something that can come back around very easily. Just like 3% to my opinion, is not going to come around very easily.
No, I would be shocked if we'll see fours in the next 5 to
Same,
10 years. I
same.
mean, I think fives is where we're going to be.
Yeah, I think 5 and 6 is a reasonable number to be at.
30
I think
years to borrow money for 30 years at 5 or 6% is still insanely
it's
low.
it's a good number.
I have a mortgage friend in India, and he's
Mhm.
been doing mortgages almost as long as I have. And last I checked with him, the rates were like 12%, and we
Wow.
were at 7 when I checked with him. So, I mean, that gives you context of other countries. Everybody thinks the grass is greener, and oh, I'll just go over to Switzerland and buy a house.
And then
It
you'll
can be a
get
lot
charged
different.
with foreign investment taxes.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And the
Or
values don't increase as much as they do here. There's
right.
a lot. Not, I don't know of any other country that has a fixed 30-year. Everybody else has arms and they reset every 5 or 3 years. And like
Hmm.
Canada, there's a lot of people who had their mortgages reset from the adjustable rate they have, and their payments went up by 40%.
Wow.
They can't afford their homes anymore. Plus, Canada is taxed at pretty much 50% of your income.
Yes.
So
Well, you
it's
get the
just
free
expensive.
healthcare.
Yeah. I
So
mean, well, and
that,
that's
that and that's where it comes down to. It's like, okay, you're gonna take, like in Georgia state tax, you're gonna take one thing away and off my plate, but what are you gonna put back on my plate that's gonna actually be worse?
And their
And
trade-off
cost
is
me
they
more.
wait 9 months for, a heart doctor and then have to
Yeah.
come down here because they can't be seen in time.
Right. Right.
Uh, so it's definitely, I mean, I still think the United States has a lot better situation than, many other places across the
I
globe.
agree. I agree with that.
And we're definitely getting the market back. The real
Hmm.
estate market's coming back. I believe if anybody wants to buy and get seller paid closing costs, you better get in and
Now
get
is
it
the
done
time.
now.
I tell my clients that all the time. I've actually had, to your point, I've actually had buyers that were sitting on the fence, in 2025. We were seeing homes, but they were just waiting, like either waiting for the price to drop or waiting for the rates to drop. Where the rates didn't drop that much, even with the Fed cut, you don't really see that much of a difference now,
Right.
and now they're like, okay, we're gonna do it, even though it's still around 6% and 6.1, 6.2, we're gonna do it, right?
Yep.
And that's inspiring, where it's like, okay, now we're getting back in there, where first time home buyers are coming back into the market. I read just a couple of days ago where first time home buyers are now the age of 40. I
Yes.
guess that number went up, and I'm like,
Average age.
average age is 40 years old for a first time home buyer now. And
It was
that's
38
pretty
last year.
insane.
Yeah.
Right. That's pretty insane that, when you think about that, it's like, okay, and you're getting locked in a 30-year mortgage, right?
Yeah.
Which puts you at 70 years old.
Yeah.
So you're not retiring at 67, it sounds like,
No.
right?
Yeah, you're paying extra on your mortgage so you can retire on
That's
time.
exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So you're gonna have
And then
or
never mind the 50-year mortgage.
right,
That's
right.
even
A 40
worse.
year old probably would not be getting a 50-year mortgage.
Well,
And
they
I
would
mean,
get it.
unless you refinance within, a few years,
Yeah.
get
Well, and
out of
that's
it.
the thing. A lot of people, I'll get an 80-year-old who will call me and say, I guarantee you, you're not going to give me a 30-year. And I guarantee you I am because I cannot discriminate. I mean,
Right.
I'm not. Who's to say that you're not going to be alive at 110?
Who's to
Um,
say? Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
So, and that's the thing. I mean, if we have the product and you want it, I will tell you the benefits and the drawbacks. But if you
Right.
want it, I will sell it to you. I mean,
That's exactly right.
and the 50-year could be helpful, but it's not something you're going to want to stay in forever.
For the whole
And
time. Yeah.
honestly, I've got more home equity lines of credit and second mortgages being done right now. I
Hmm.
sent out an email right before Christmas because Black Friday spending was the highest it's ever been. And I just thought about it. I'm like, all these sharks and all these bait and switchers, they're going to be calling my clients with 3% and trying to talk them into refinancing the entire thing
Refinancing.
for 30,000. So
Right.
I sent out an email and I have been bombarded with a bunch of people who have now got their credit card statements and they're like, we need help.
I need a HELOC.
Yeah.
Let's get
And
the HELOC
so,
and get this done
yeah,
with. Yeah.
had a guy on Tuesday call me and we basically ran through, he needed 80,000 to pay off all his debts. He was paying $3,000 a month for those minimum payments. Ended up
Wow.
getting 114,000, so he's going to pay off the 80,000 plus have 30 to spend, and his payment is 1,100 a month. I mean,
That's good
what
math.
$1,900 savings? That is game
That is,
changer.
that's huge. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that
huge.
family is going to have so much relief in February. And he didn't want to get rid of his 4% rate. And I understand that. And if
Right.
we ever get to the point where there's a blended rate that's lower, where we can combine both loans and get them into a new loan, then we'll do that. But there's too many people in this industry that have been slow and they're out there trying to talk people into getting rid of 2.75, taking six just for a little cash. That
Right.
does not make sense. It's not in your
Yeah.
best interest.
The math isn't mathing.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
No.
there's situations I'm sure in real estate where it's not the best time to, sell or,
Hmm.
it,
Yeah. I think
I'm
it just
seeing,
depends on when they bought for
yep,
sure. Because
yep,
again, there's a lot of people that purchase homes in 21 and 22 that they know they're not going to get right now. Some
what
homes
they
are not going to
paid.
get what they paid for in
Yep,
21 or 22 because they did go 50,000 over asking.
yes,
You just paid for your equity. You just put
yep,
your equity out there. And now
yeah,
you probably have to wait 10 years to see that number back, you
yep.
know?
And
Um,
that's the sad thing is I got people who took higher rates during, well, 21, 22. Those were still pretty low. But we had people who were taking new construction getting, 6.5 or
right,
whatever. Those people can't take advantage of a 5.5 if we see it.
right. because the
So,
value isn't there yet. You have to wait a long time. There's a lot of homes that I think, as far as new construction, that are overpriced. And I think we talked about this last time. There's
yep,
so much new construction that's ridiculously overpriced because you're
yes,
not getting the amount of land that the homes around it, that have been there 30, 40 years have.
yeah,
Yeah, you may have this big, beautiful 2,500, 3,000 square foot home, but you can't have side windows because your neighbor is this far away,
yeah.
right? So there's no side windows. Like you just have windows in the front and the back of your house. There's no land. I think it's less than a tenth of an acre, you know?
You can hand the butter to your
You can
neighbor.
hand the butter, you have a little cement pad for your backyard,
Yep.
and then you're going to be heavily regulated by the HOA for what,
Yes.
20, 15, 20 years before you can get rid of them, before they dissolve or whatever, So yeah, it's a great, beautiful home, but at the end of the day, how fast is your value going to increase? Where most homes around it are probably, even on a conservative number, increasing 5 and 7% every year. Are you going to even see that?
Well, and I saw a new build this week. It was 800,000. It's 1,888 square feet.
1,888 square feet. And it was how much?
800 in Cartersville.
Wow.
I mean, I don't understand that, to be honest. But it's less than 2,000 square feet on less than an acre. It's a ranch, and they're asking 800,000 for it.
I have to go see this because I need to know how much gold was put in there.
Yeah, you think I go toilets or
Gold
what?
faucets,
I'll
every
send you the
toilet has a
address.
built-in bidet. Like I need to understand
It's
where
crazy
they
to
get
me.
this value from.
And honestly, of course, it's a builder, so who knows if it's going to appraise or if they have comps, but
Yeah.
I don't see 800,000 in less than an acre on 1,800 square feet ranch.
Wow. Well, like you said before, that builder, they're gonna buy one or two of the homes,
Those
to have the
comps.
comp. There's their
Yep,
comp, right?
yep, yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have to send me the address to that because I have to go see this
I
because
will.
I don't my brain just cannot rack around that price. There's no is there a lake in the community? Are they on lake property? Is it
The HOA community, I believe, I think it is on a full basement, or maybe it's on a partial basement, but still,
I still
1,888
don't, yeah.
above grade, uh, finished basement, 800,000, just
No.
doesn't
That's
jive.
that's a lot. That's a
Yeah,
lot of money to be asking.
yeah. I mean, for 1,800 square feet, I've got, I've got way too much square footage, but they're building them smaller and smaller
They
and
are.
smaller,
They are.
and they're like shoe boxes. The bedrooms
Mhm.
aren't even big enough to hold a king size bed.
Right. But you get the tray ceilings, you get
Yeah.
the coffer ceilings in the dining room. Like you no, it's
With
still
the
not worth it.
inferior lumber that we just
Right, that part.
cut. Yeah. It's not
That part.
even been seasoned long enough. And God
Yeah,
forbid a bad storm come by, you might blow away. But hey,
right.
buy this
Right.
home. It's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
going to be interesting to see, honestly, just these homes that are overpriced in the next 5 to 7 years, what their value looks like.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, you'll have people from West Coast and from Northeast, they come and see and they're like, oh, this is a great value. I just sold my condo for, 1.5 million, right?
Right.
So I can buy a single family home for 800,000. This is great value. But then us that live down here and around, we're like, that's a ripoff. Like
Yeah.
that's not good. That's not
No.
good business.
I just don't see how that house is going to be worth. I mean, I don't really. That's like 350. I don't know how much that is a square foot, but that's just insanity. I mean,
That is really a
you
lot.
don't really see luxury homes going for that much. I mean, if it
Mm-mm.
was in a high vacation spot, like a big Airbnb or like
Yeah.
LJ or something,
Yeah,
it
like maybe
might,
somewhere up in Big Canoe or,
yeah,
something like that. But
yeah, in Cartersville. Just
Cartersville,
it's crazy. But yeah, I'll send that to you when we get off
We
here.
shall see. We
Yeah.
shall see.
I'm gonna see
And I
how
know
long that
Cartersville has
house
a
is
lot more
listed.
land, right? They do have a lot of land. So, and you said it's around a half acre lot.
3/4. Yeah, 3/4 of an
Okay.
acre. Yeah.
Okay.
Still.
I'll be curious to see
Yeah,
why,
definitely.
like how they came up with that number.
Yeah.
Like we just had a client close on a house that was on an acre lot. Home was built 2000 and they closed it for 370.
That's why I
And that
tell
was a
people,
2,500 square foot home. So
yeah, you might want to buy new construction until you see the difference in the space.
that's right. Yeah.
Resales, but you can buy a house like you said. I mean, there's a resale over in Cartersville that's like 2,200 square feet. It's 380 something or 360 something,
Right.
but you'd
Right.
rather
That's
go
why I'm
and
like, how
buy
are they
this
getting
one.
that value? Because I understand it's a 25-year home versus, it being a brand new construction. But to have that huge $400,000 gap, all because it's a new construction and it's smaller, and I don't have a lake in my backyard,
Exactly.
like help me justify it. So yeah, and I think we talked about that before, is that there is, unfortunately, we know Georgia is a buyer beware state, right? When it comes, so is Florida,
Yep.
so there unfortunately is not enough, and this is probably on more of a federal level than a state level. There's no regulations against new constructions when they're pricing their homes. I
Right.
think it honestly should be illegal for the builder to buy a home in the community to inflate the value, because that's exactly what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
you're inflating the value, you're falsifying value because you're willing to pay for that. Of course you are, because you want to sell the other 100 homes at that value,
Right.
right? So just there really should be some regulations around that. And I think those are the small things that can be tackled right now. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Versus like again, I love the plan of going after Wall Street, that's buying up Main Street. I
Hmm.
completely get behind that. But I think there's so many other steps we need to take too, that we can actually, that actionable things that can happen right now.
Yep.
Builders can no longer buy homes within their community. Law written, signed, done.
Yeah.
Like we could start
Exactly.
even there. And then
Yes.
now we're looking at these new construction prices no longer being so inflated.
Yep.
So
Yep.
let's protect buyers in that respect as well, because we know a lot of buyers are, yeah, they're going to gravitate towards new construction, let's make, especially first time home buyers, right?
Yes.
This is another great way to really protect first time home buyers. That's stop builders from being able to buy in the community they're building in.
Right. Yeah.
you know
No, that makes sense. I mean, and they're, just little things that are going to protect the little guy. And
yeah,
there was somebody who said something about why didn't the administration go after mom and pop investors and force little families who might own another house? And I mean, I know if you probably calculated across the United States, they might be up near that number, but it's if 10% of the homes are owned by institutional investors, that's a
that's a
huge
huge, yeah,
amount.
yeah,
And I believe, I mean, mom and pop, and like people like me who own one
right,
property, people who
right.
own two or three properties, they're not our problem. They're being
They're
fair.
not the problem. They're
No.
not the one that's inflating and or building communities like Invitation Homes,
Hmm.
building communities for 100% rentals.
Yes.
So you're using all of that material, of which there's, a huge need for. You're taking all of
Hmm.
that building material, building entire new communities, and I'm not talking apartment buildings, I'm talking single family homes,
Neighborhoods.
and
Yes.
100% of it is rentals.
Yeah. That's
So
Invitation and American Homes for
yeah,
Rent or
so
something
who's
like that.
who's pushing out the first time home buyers? That right there.
Exactly.
Because when they started building them, I remember seeing them in 23 and 24, and I had my buyers calling me, Jen, there's a new community being built. I'm so excited. And then I look
Rental
it up.
only.
and it's rental only.
It just it's
But
just
that could, I feel like something like that could start at a county level,
yes.
when they're asking for these zonings and stuff. It's like,
Permits.
what happened on the county level where we
Hmm.
allowed that to
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah.
Again, that we don't have to wait for, the big
Administration to do
administration to do
anything.
something. We can push back
Georgia.
on the county level and say, hey, the people, and I think that's where we, unfortunately, as a people, we fail. We don't go to enough of these public meetings.
Yep.
Some people aren't, they don't know what those big yellow and orange signs mean when
Mhm.
they're on properties and they're saying, zoning variance meetings and stuff like that. Some people just drive by them, right? And there's not
Yep.
enough information being put out. There's no letters being, or it's not going in the newspaper front page, where it's like, hey, and I think that would be helpful if that was like first page Cherokee Ledger. This is the variance meetings that are happening right now. I think more people would actually attend these meetings and actually
Well, that
understand, okay, who's approving this?
yeah, that also gets up my feathers because why do I have to pay for the newspaper? Like if you want the community to know
Right,
what's going on, don't charge them to read the local news.
right.
And the Cherokee Tribune turned, pay and Atlanta Journal Constitute or Marietta Daily
Yeah.
Journal just published their last publication on Sunday. I went, or no, it wasn't Sunday, it was a weekday. It wasn't even a weekend or a Sunday paper. It was $8 for the final
Information should
edition.
be free.
And I'm
Yeah,
sorry, but information about your community should be readily available, and you should be able to
right.
read the newspaper front to back without
100%.
paying for it.
100% because we know that they're getting paid by advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
So we already know you have an income because advertisers are paying you so that you can provide information to your community.
Right. And I mean,
Yeah.
someone who's sick, who doesn't leave their home, or who's blind, or who, they're not going to see those signs. They need to be notified that there
Yes.
might be a data center that's trying to come in behind their neighborhood. They're
Right.
not going to know, and these zoning signs are really, unless like unless my
Right.
neighbor had gotten me involved, I wouldn't have even known that there was a neighborhood being built behind my neighborhood, that now we have the silt and the runoff from their
Coming to
construction
you.
has now destroyed our lake.
Yeah.
And we're fighting for them to come and
Good.
resilt the lake
Good.
because they have destroyed it. And they're saying that
Wow.
they aren't responsible. Well, and we went up to the fire station. They had a meeting there, and the investors were there. And we flat out said, we are going to sue you if you do not fix our lake and correct this problem. Next day, county was out, pulled their permit, and said, you guys have not done the proper grading, and you got to stop until you do the proper work to stop this runoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're rogue. They're totally, able to do whatever they want. And because it's so vague, the regular Joe Schmo does not know.
No. No. Yeah, information definitely needs to be free.
Yeah.
And people in your community should be made aware. And the people that were voted into the powers that be should be front line with this. You know, like that should be just something like, hey guys, we've got all this great stuff happening in your community. Show up, voice your opinions, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I'm hearing people complain about things that are happening off of 140 and all the extra, buildings being built as far as commercial property happening. And up Highway 5, right? There's all these apartment complexes coming in and even more commercial buildings coming in. And number one complaint for people is, where are the homes?
Well, that
Where are the
and the
single family homes, I
traffic.
should say.
It's also
And
traffic
traffic.
too. It's like, oh, you're going
Traffic
to
is
put four
huge.
new apartments, but you're not even expanding the road.
Yeah,
And we have children waiting for a bus off this
right.
road.
So this is what's interesting. Cherokee County does have an infrastructure plan that they put in place that stretches out to 2045.
Mhm.
But what they're not taking into account is all the things that they approved right now within that plan, right? So it's like we have this plan to, for example, expand, the downtown Woodstock streets, right? We have all this stuff planned, but oh, we didn't know that we were going to build a new town center off Highway 8, right? Or off Exit 8. And now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we may have to change that plan to, but didn't we just vote and put money towards that and building the streets and expanding the streets and oh wait, now we have to hold off. It's
Or we
all
have to tear
becoming
up
like too much gray area.
Or we have to tear up what we already did,
That part.
like that ramp over in Forsyth County, I think it is. Um, they basically had a 400 exit that they built, and they paid like millions, like $500 million
Yes.
or something, and the grading wasn't done correctly.
Right.
I mean, if I was in that community, I better
Yeah.
not, as a taxpayer, be paying this because it was the contractor's problem, and that company should be paying to fix the
A hundred
problem that they
percent.
created.
A hundred
And they
percent.
won the bid on the contract because they were the cheapest. Guess what? They're not competent.
No,
They can't even get
exactly.
the grading right on a bridge.
You get what you pay for. It goes back to
Yeah,
that, right? You get
exactly.
exactly what you paid for.
And it's costing more.
And
So,
it's costing the people in the community more. And
yep.
that's the unfortunate thing is like we're it's almost we're being punished in
Mhm.
a sense of you make all these mistakes on roads or building, and who has to pay for it? All the taxpayers. It goes back onto us.
Yep.
you
We're
know
always the one to bail everybody out. And I'm
yes,
tired of it for one. I mean, honestly, the
talk
amount of
about it.
fraud just all over the country. We've got to get our hands on this because I believe that the American people could be a lot more um, rich than
Yeah,
we are. I feel like we've all been swindled for years and
yeah,
decades, and we are due what we are due. And, we should not be paying income taxes, especially with the amount of fraud and pocketing all these politicians have done. I don't feel like I even want to pay my taxes. Like
you don't feel
it's
good
gonna
about it. It's hard to
it's
feel
gonna
it's hard to
take
feel good about it when you're not
yes,
even sure of where all the money is going to.
right. And when I
Whose
find
pockets
out
are
that
who's paying for all these lobbyists,
yes.
Yeah,
And all this money is going to terrorists who don't like us, or it's going to other countries instead of going to our people who need to eat, who need housing, who
yeah,
need veterans, who need assistance. Like that money could be going to our citizens, but it's going elsewhere. And I've talked to a lot of people who are going to have a lot of self-discipline to file their taxes this year because, I mean, some people are calling for a revolt, and I'm W-2, so they take a lot of my income because I'm commission
right.
only. So I'm always getting a
Same.
refund at the end of the year. So for me, I can't not file. And
Yeah,
because they made that W form for so difficult to fill out, like you can't go in and just claim 9 dependents anymore and lower your tax burden so that you don't have all that refund.
hmm,
They have a calculation that you can't exceed that. So,
yeah,
like, even if I claim that I'm head of household or, married filing jointly with a dependent, which I don't have a dependent, that's a max of 3. I'm still being taxed out of the wazoo because it's commission checks and I'm still owed a refund at the end of the year. So,
yeah.
can't not file because then I'll be giving Uncle Sam my money.
So much money, taking more
Yeah.
money. Yeah, yeah. It's insane. It's insane, and we can only do so much, unfortunately. Informing people as best as we can with
Yep.
what we're finding, what we're reading about when it's provided to us, right?
Yes, exactly. Well,
But
and
yeah,
one thing I wanted to touch on, and before we head out for the day and
yeah,
do our things, but one thing that has been very viral on social media, and I know you will agree. So, if a seller's house is sitting forever and a buyer comes in and wants, let's say they want to drop the price by $20,000, that lower price is only going to benefit you just a little bit on your payment. But instead of asking the seller to drop the price from 500 to 480, why don't you ask for 20,000 in closing costs, some of that to be used for a 2-1 buy down or a
hmm,
1-0 buy down, which means that your rate is 1% lower for the first year, then it goes to the regular rate. That would save the buyer so much more money per month. It would also benefit the community because you're not lowering the price to lower than what everybody else has been selling for.
Right, right.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. And that's all we try to create is a win-win situation for everyone.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of buyers that are just stuck on the purchase price because they
Yes.
feel like if they get that lower purchase price, then they are the only ones that won.
Yes.
Instead of realizing, like to your point, like, hey, if I were to get more money in my pocket, aka closing costs, so that I don't have to come out of pocket so much, that's actually a much bigger win
Yeah.
than your pride or ego, right?
Exactly.
On, hey, I got them. No, you got yourself.
I mean, just the
Yeah.
example, I mean, I ran the numbers, but the first year with that 20,000, you would save like $480 the first year, like 200 and something dollars the second year as a buyer. But the seller
Right.
got what he wanted. He
It's
got his 500
exactly.
purchase price. He just paid 20,000 towards your closing costs and buy down. And
Right.
now you're in a better situation. Yes, you paid 20,000 more, but at the rate of appreciation for what they forecast in Georgia and the
Right.
metro Atlanta area, you're going to make
You're
that
looking
money
at 10 to
back.
20% per year. Yeah, easily. You're gonna make
So,
that back in a
oh,
couple of years.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It'll
you're
be
better
it'll be
off
in your
doing it
equity
that way.
bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Some buyers that, like you said, some buyers just they don't see that. And I think it goes just what you're doing right now, putting that information out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And explaining how that's a much bigger win-win, not just for you, but also the seller as well, where everyone is getting what they're asking for, but you actually win a little bit more in longevity because you're
Yes.
having a better rate, right, for
Yes.
a couple of years,
Yep.
which saves you money, not
And a
only at
lot
the
of
closing table, but also over time.
Yep. And a lot of people don't know that if you do a seller paid buy down and let's say the rates do drop where we can refinance you,
Mm-hmm.
that money is sitting in an escrow account. If you do a one-time buy down at the table of
Right.
just buying down the permanent rate, that rate, the payment, the fee is gone. So if the rates improve and we refinance, you've lost the money that you paid to buy down that rate. But if you do a temporary buy down, that money is sitting in an escrow account. And so, depending on how you're going to refinance, if it's FHA or if it's conventional that you did,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get that money back. So, it's
Right.
money in the buyer's pocket versus being wasted at the table in a permanent buy down.
Right.
That's just, something to think about for buyers going into this buying season. And I highly
Mm-hmm.
suggest you get in because spring and summer, I believe, is going to be multiple bids again.
I agree with that. Yeah, and listings are picking up on my side too, where I'm having, investors that want to sell their residential and commercial property and investment properties. Like, people
Yes.
are ready to let go of a lot of things. Some people, to your point, have owned investment properties for 30 plus years. They don't want to be landlords anymore. They're ready to let it go.
Yep.
So all of that is going to definitely help, put inventory back into the market this spring and summer. So I do think it's 2025. I'm hoping it's not a 21-22 market where people were being, bought out and pushed out and over asking price and not allowed to do inspections. I'm hoping we don't have that. I'm hoping we still have a balance where, buyers are still allowed to do their inspections and allowed to still negotiate on those inspections and,
Yes.
and all of that. So I'm hoping that it remains a win-win going forward because I think it's kind of a prelude what I've been seeing the last 6 months. There have been a lot more win-win situations,
Huh?
So I'm hoping we kind of keep that same energy going into the spring summer.
And I do believe if we can get the institutional buyers to stop buying and
Yeah.
if we could eliminate the capital gains tax for everyone, get rid of that 500,000 max, I think that would move some buyers too.
Yeah.
Sellers to buy something
Sellers.
else.
Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. No, I completely agree.
All right. Well, it's
Wow.
been great talking to
Oh,
you,
it's great
Jenny.
talking with you, Lindsay.
Yes, and I hope you have a great week. And
You as well.
anybody wants to list or talk about buying a home with Jenny, you can reach out to her. Jenny sells the block.
That's right.
But I'll be
Anyone needs a
tagging her.
fabulous lender?
Yes.
Lindsay is your girl.
All right. Well, y'all have a wonderful day. Thanks for
You
having
as
us, and
well.
you have a great week. Talk to
You
you
too,
soon.
Lindsay. Take
All right.
care.
Bye bye.